Hello folks, welcome to another Java developer interview transcript. In this video, we will go through the Java developer interview questions asked in HSBC. Let's dive into this. This video is mainly for freshers to entry-level Java developer. If you are experienced professional, then you can skip this. This interview transcript will help you crack the Java interview. There is always same pattern followed in an interview for fresher. They always try to ask basic concepts and deep understanding of it. And this article will have these topics mainly: OOPS, OJava, SS modifier in Java, string, serialization, collection, try-catch, Hibernate, Spring, SQL coding. For every junior, OOPS, string, access modifier, and collection are the basic topics necessary to know. Every fresher interview question starts with object-oriented programming questions. So this would be your first question. What are the four basic OOPS principles? So there are four principles of object-oriented programming. One is encapsulation, one is inheritance, third one is polymorphism, fourth one is abstraction. So you need to know what all these four pillars do. Like inheritance allows object to inherit properties and behavior from other objects. Likewise, polymorphism refers to the ability of object to take on many forms. Abstraction refers to the process of identifying common pattern and extracting essential feature of the objects. And encapsulation, this refers to the practice of hiding the internal working of an object and exposing only the necessary functionality. Moving on to the next question. How do you achieve encapsulation? Basically, encapsulation is binding the data and the members together. We can achieve encapsulation using these access modifier, which are public, private, protected, and default. This is the example of encapsulation where we can see how we have used access modifier like public class person, where public is our access modifier. We are using private string name and private integer name. These are the members which we are keeping as a private. That's how the access modifiers work. This is one of the mostly asked interview question. That is, what is the difference between this abstraction and encapsulation? Because more or less, they serve the same purpose. So we need to understand the key difference of it. Like abstraction operate at higher level and it focus on the overall design and interface, whereas encapsulation work at object level and it manages internal data and implementation. So purpose-wise, if we talk about like abstraction aim to simplify complexity and promote reusability, whereas encapsulation aims to protect data and manage dependencies. Again, this is a basic question for a fresher, like what is interface in Java? So you should know that what is interface. So it is a blueprint of a class, and interface in Java can only contain declaration. You cannot declare any concrete method inside this interface, but since Java 8, we can give some implementation there using static method and some default methods. So yeah, that's it. What is abstract class? A class which is declared with the abstract keyword is known as abstract class in Java. And abstract class can or may contain both abstract and concrete method, which make abstract class an ideal place to provide common or default functionality. This is again a mostly asked interview question for fresher or entry level programmer. Like, what is the difference between abstract class and interface? So main difference is like abstract class is a class and interface is an interface. Second one is the you cannot create a non-abstract method in an interface, and every method interface is by default abstract. But you can create a non-abstract method in abstract class, even a class which doesn't contain any abstract method. It can be made abstract by using abstract keyword. And interface is better suited for type declaration, and abstract class is more suited for code reuse and evolution perspective. Abstract class are slightly faster than interface because interface involves search before calling any overridden method in Java. When you add a new method in an existing interface, it breaks all its implementation, and you need to provide an implementation in all client which is not good. By using abstract class, you can provide default implementation for new method in the superclass without breaking the existing client. So what are the types of access modifier? And we need to know all these four, like public, protected, default, and private. Each one has its own permission levels, so you should check that out. What is the difference between private and protected access modifier? This is again a very interesting question asked from the access modifier. Please check that out. Move on to next question. If string is not mutable, then what challenge a developer can face? Developer can face multiple issues like unexpected behavior, like mutating a string after it has been assigned to variable could lead to unexpected behavior in different part of the code base. Second one is there might be a memory management issues. There might be concurrency problems. There might be debugging difficulties, and one of them is the security problem because strings are used as a username password on the server, so keeping them mutable is a good thing. Difference between string a is equal to Ajay and string a2 is equal to new string Ajay. So difference between these two coding statement is first one, string a is equal to Ajay, which creates a string literal Ajay. String literal are stored in a string pool, a special memory area in Java, and the string pool ensure that the only one copy of same string literal exists in memory, even if it is assigned to multiple variable. That's why this is a memory efficient and approach, and it improves performance as other. And whereas string a2 is equal to new string j, which creates a new object using the new keyword and string constructor. New object is allocated in the heap memory containing the character Ajay, and this creates a separate copy of the string even if it has the same character as a string literal in the pool. While it allows modifying the string content later, it consumes more memory compared to string literal. So if we want to go with declaring any string, we should be going with the first approach. It saves a lot of memory. What is transient keyword and why serialization requires? On which parameter we do serialization? So basically transient keyword is a variable modifier used in a Java, specifically during serialization. Whenever we apply this to a field, it instructs the JVM to exclude that field value from being saved when the object is serialized. This means the field value is not persisted in the serialized form of the object. This is again a very interesting topic, serialization. So question might come like, why is serialization is needed? And serialization is process of converting object state into byte stream for a storage or transmission purpose. If we talk about transmission, that means if you're sending something from one server to other, the objects are converted into the byte stream, and then we are sending it over the internet. That's what serialization do. And why we need it? Because whenever we want to send something over the internet, we have to that information might be sensitive information like password or some data. So we should not, we should be protecting that. That's why serialization is needed. And yeah, that's it. Moving on to the next question. What is the use of serial version UID? Serial version UID is a keyword. Basically, it's a long constant used in Java serialization to ensure compatibility between the serialized data and the class used for deserialization. So, purpose of serial version UID, which we call SUID, in short, it acts as a identifier for a serialized form of a class. And whenever JVM compares the object, it compares based on this ID, and it based on this, it can serialize and deserialize the object. If they match, it serialize and deserialize the data. Otherwise, it will throw an exception. How Hashset works internally? This is again a similar kind of questions like how Hashmap works internally. So you need to know how it works. So it Hashset in Java only store unique value because internally it uses set interface. It uses concept of hashing just like Hashmap, and it also has a key value pair is added, and the hash function is calculated using key, and hash set hash function is calculated using the value itself. And in Hashset, we have add method, which take just the element to be added as a parameter. Also, you may have to guess by now, since the hash function is calculated using the value, that is why only unique value are stored in the hash rate. If you try to store the same element again, the calculated hash function would be same. Thus, the element will be overwritten. Since we are talking about the hash set, we should be knowing how we are adding and removing the element. And this question is regarding how element is removed from a hash set in Java. In hash set, there is a remove method. I have given the snippet here, internal snippet here. And whenever we remove an object method of the hash map, it returns the value associated with the key. And whenever we remove the method of the hash set, it returns the Boolean value like true or false. This is, interviewer's favorite question, how hash map works internally, you know. So you should know there are four things you should know about Hashmap before going into internal working of it. First one is there is a map.entry interface which stores both key and value in a bucket as an object of a node class, which implement this nested interface map.entry. There is a hashcode method. Hashmap provide put for storing and get method for retrieving value from hashmap. When put method is used to store key value pair, Hashmap implementation call hashcode on that key object to calculate a hash that is used to find a bucket where the entry object will be stored. And whenever we call the get method to retrieve any value, again key object is passed with a get method and is used to calculate hash, which is then used to find the bucket where that particular key is stored. And equal method is used to compare object for the equality. If in case of hashmap, key object is used for comparison. Also, equal method map know how to handle hashing collision. Yeah, and hash code method help in finding the bucket where that key is stored. Equal method help in finding the right key, as there may be more than one key value pair stored in a single bucket. So bucket is basically area or index of an array, nothing else. How element are stored in internally in Java Hashmap? So Hashmap in Java uses array called table of type of node to store the element which defined in the Hashmap class. So I have given the uh, class node implementation like map.entries there. Inside that we are having four fields like hash, key, value, and next. So each field has its own storing purpose, like hash stores the hash code calculated using the key, and key hold the key of the element, values for storing the value of that element, and next is just a reference for the next node. So this is a Java 8 related question where they will be asking like what is the hash map changes in Java 8. So main change that happened after Java 8 is that previously on previous versions, Hashmap used a linked list to store the elements, but now to increase its performance, they have started using the balance tree instead of linked list. That is the main difference. And they have reduced the performance from worst case performance from ON to O log n. What is finalize method? Finalize method is used in a try catch finally block where it used to clean up the object, and garbage collector has the responsibility to clean up. Whenever we call a finalize method, it requests the garbage collector to clean up the object, but it is based on the garbage collector's availability and its own way of working. For fresher, this question might come in an interview, like what is the flow of a web service? We need to explain what web service is, and the classic web service flow is like client sends a request to a web service responds back, and with a response, and then response is it generate the response first and then send back to the client. That's just a client server model that we are talking. So in an interview, along with the core Java, OOPS, and string and other questions, you should be knowing the frameworks in the Java, like Hibernate and Spring are the popular frameworks. So expect the question from these frameworks. So they might ask like, what is Hibernate framework? So it's an ORM, like object relational mapping tool, that is able to map Java object to a variety of different relational database. That is the main function of the ORM tool. And it does job of creating SQL that is able to save, update, delete, and query data from the database. It presents us the data to us as an object that we can use and manipulate and then save back to the database. What is the use of Hibernate? Why should we use it, and why we should not use SQL? So Hibernate is a persistent technology that is based on the idea of object relational mapping, or ORM. And ORM is a framework that enables you to map the world of object found in object-oriented language like Java to row in a relational database found in a relational database like MySQL. So ORM, we have to translate the object into few different SQL statement that we will insert, update, and the data into the table. But to do that, we have to write a Java code. To create SQL, it's not that hard, but it's tedious. So ORM comes with the picture, and it makes our job of creating the queries, dynamic queries, easy. What is the difference in setting the value in constructor and setting the value in getter and setter? Both are doing the same thing. So this question is from Spring Framework, where constructor and setter injections are used. If you want to have a immutable class, use a constructor injection and set the value there. Otherwise, you can use setter injection, which is mostly used approach. And in setter injection, we can set the value using setter approach. When you want to change the value of a field after the object has been created. But constructor injection or constructor setting value is where we want to set it initially, and then we don't want to change that. For example, database informations are there, like they are needed once, and we are not changing it usually. So in a banking company, you will be asked many database related questions, and few questions may be around writing a SQL query. So this is mostly asked interview question or query, where they are asking, we have a two table and write a query which give me two persons highest salary earner. Can you tell me the query? So these are the three ways from which we can fetch the highest salary earner, and expect some coding program like to check the minimum number of occurrence of a character in a given string. So this is the program, and you should be expecting any one or two string program in a coding interview, and mostly they are repeated, like reverse a string, find the number of occurrence, and like that. That's it. Thanks for listening and watching this interview transcript. I'm happy to assist you guys with your questions and queries. Let me know.